Okay, hey, thanks
We've got
everybody.
a few people on the phone.
Yeah, hi everybody, welcome, those joining remotely. It's great to be here. You know, we're the last company, so we want to have a good impression, but we'll have time for questions at the end, but if you have a burning question, just raise your hand. We're going to talk about a product that our customers are calling the Salesforce.com for cybersecurity. And we'll talk about our business model, our customers, our product, our team. So we'll start with the team. My background, I've been in Atlanta for about 25 years, building and running software companies, mostly around the security space. Started way back in IXL, actually with Mike. I was the first company that Brett Ellis bought to start IXL. Moved to New York, ran 3 companies in New York, went public in '99. Incredible experience for someone in their 30s to go through that. I was also a turnaround CEO at a company called Nexidia. They had run out of money, either Series A or on bridge loans from HIG. Came in the week after 9/11 when there was no capital or customers, but turned that business around. Handed it off to another team once we sort of got our work done, and that sold to Nice Systems last year for $130 million in cash. Most recently, I started a company called Preparis, which is a business continuity automation platform. About 35 employees. It's an ongoing company. About 350 customers. Customers like Groupon, Bain Capital, Family Dollar, Jackson Healthcare. When I was at that company meeting with our customers, they kept saying, hey, you built a great product for automating business continuity, but what can you do to help me automate cybersecurity? And so when you hear that about 100 times, you say, I think there's a business here. Go through the rest of the team. Jay Farrow, if you know Jay, he's been a 2-time CIO of the state of Georgia. He was the CIO at Earthlink, ACS, AIG. He is now the Chief Customer Officer at Rackspace. He's a Georgia guy. Most of you probably know him through work with either Ty or through TechBridge. He's the chairman of TechBridge. When I showed Jay the PowerPoint slides of this product, when we were literally was vaporware, he said, shut the laptop, are you raising money? I said, I have no idea. He goes, I'll be your first investor, so we put in $50,000. So very lucky to have him on board. He's been phenomenal. Gavin, you want to just say 30 seconds on your background?
I'm Gavin Harris. About 20 years of enterprise software experience. The last 12 being in startups of different shapes and sizes. Was fortunate to be one of the first people in at AirWatch, and was helped build out AirWatch from 30-ish people to 2,000, exit to VMware, $1.5 billion exit to VMware. I ran commercial sales and operations and scaled out a lot of the partner and the commercial channel as we built it out.
Ian Willoughby, who can't be with us today, he's kind of moonlighting with us as our CTO. He's at a company called SecondWatch, and SecondWatch is moving enterprises from on-prem to the cloud. He's one of only 100 AWS ambassadors in the whole country. His biggest account was Coca-Cola. His team moved all of Coke from on-prem to cloud. He's now moved on to other big opportunities, but he's been phenomenal because we are hosted at AWS, and having that expertise is phenomenal. So we parachute him in when needed. Just some fast facts about us. We are a SaaS, 100% SaaS business. We are disrupting a very, very large market. From the market traction that we've had, it's been over a very short period of time. We launched our product in 2017 in September, and we've really been selling it since January. And we have over 18 customers, many of which you'll know the names, already in the boat. We're very capital efficient. This is our first real round of capital, this seed round that we're doing right now. We are going to probably do between 450 and 500,000 this year in ARR. We're already halfway there, actually, heading into the end of this quarter. We'll hit 250. We are doing a round of 500,000. It's a preferred round, so it's not safe or notes. You know exactly what you're getting. We are oversubscribed, and that's actually, last time JP and I spoke, we had about 50,000 left in the round. We've now surpassed that. So we're opening it back up another 100,000 to 600,000 to bring in some other partners and strategics over the next week. So glad that that's still some room available. We're going to talk about just the market real fast, then we'll jump in the product. And the market's all about what we're hearing right now from CIOs of organizations of all sizes. As they look at cybersecurity today, it's very different than it was 5 years ago. Cybersecurity today is all about, number one, a lot of compliance. PCI for credit cards, HIPAA for healthcare, GDPR for privacy of data in the European areas. SOC 2, if you're a cloud company, you're in SaaS, you got to be SOC 2. There's a huge amount of pressure on the regulatory side. Let me just take an example. PCI has 84 controls that you as a business you have to manage, meaning 84 things you've got to do. Think of those as 84 projects. Things like manage my passwords, train my employees, manage my environment, assets, jump drives, all those things have to be managed by an organization. We'll talk about how they're doing that today and then how we solve that problem. 360 vendor audits is huge. We're closing several law firms right now, and the law firms are not regulated, but they're being audited by their customers on cybersecurity. Their customers, let's say Google, let's say Uber, they're auditing King and Spalding on security because they're handling their patent information, sensitive data. They are getting 200 questionnaires quarterly from their customers all about cyber. So how are you doing this? How are you doing this? That's 360 vendor auditing. Reporting, CIOs are having to go to the board meetings saying, I need to show you our cybersecurity program. And right now they're using Excel spreadsheets, dozens if not hundreds of Excel spreadsheets they're trying to pull together to answer the question, show us our cybersecurity program. They need a way to automate that process. Lastly, if any of you are in entrepreneurs in IT, you know about the lack of security talent. Monster.com did a survey last year. There were 50,000 unfilled security positions just in the US, over 1 million globally. The millennials are not going into security, I'm telling you. It's a huge shortage. So what does that mean? It means if you need to accomplish your security goals, how are you going to do it? You can't hire the people. So automation. Automation is a great way to solve that problem. So how are they doing it today? There's always a way to say, well, are we disrupting something? Yes, we are. We're disrupting Excel spreadsheets. You'd be surprised, when I show you our client list, most of those, that's what we're displacing is Excel spreadsheets. Excel was invented in 1985. It's very one-dimensional. It's not great for doing a lot of really intelligent work. On the other side of the spectrum, in the Fortune 200 space, there's a product called RSA Archer. RSA Archer is a clunky, on-prem enterprise product that starts at about $150,000. We have customers that were paying up to 7 figures that are now migrating to our more lighter, more intuitive, more easy-to-use application. This is Fortune 200, which means there's a whole market. It's called mid-market, upper mid-market, that is not being served right now. And it's companies with anywhere between 200 and 2,000 employees that have to have an organized security program. And that's what we're going to be following. So in one sense, what we do, we just make cybersecurity easier. If you're regulated, we make it easier. If you're unregulated, we make it easier. If you need to report, we make it easier, which is everyone needs to report, and all in one platform. There's 3 main components to say, well, how do we do this? There's 3 main components to our product. I'm just going to walk you through in one slide each. The first thing you're going to do as a user, you're going to just sort of pick your playbook. Are you regulated? Let's say for PCI. In our drop-down menu for design your program, you're going to select PCI. It lays out all the requirements for you. And we do it using apps. These apps are the different controls or projects you need to do. Now, right now, these apps provide you all that guidance, but they talk to each other. They're living and breathing. And our big vision in 2019 is we're going to suck in data from other systems into these apps and give you one pane of glass. SecureWorks, Wombat, all those different other providers, those thousands of security providers that have data. Right now, there's not one pane of glass to manage that. We're going to suck that data in so that when you need to be compliant to certain things, those apps will tell you whether you're compliant or not across the board. That's our big growth strategy. You pick your framework. If you don't have a framework listed here, you build your own. So we have partners and customers saying, look, I'm just going to build the Alston & Bird Top 10 framework or the Dynasis or Leapfrog Top 10 framework. They're doing that with our product right now. It's really cool. They can build their own security programs. But once you've picked your playbook, now it's all about managing it. So if you're familiar with Salesforce.com, what does it do? It takes data in, processes and manages that data in a very intelligent way so you can do things with it, make better decisions, manage your accounts, your vendors. That's what we do with this. We've taken that same model. We give you real-time compliance scoring down to the control level. So if you need to know where you are in all these different controls, you'll be able to see it right away, right through that dashboard. So all of your security data is all in one place, giving you really unprecedented control. And the teams that are using this product every day, they love it. They're saving hundreds, if not thousands of hours of admin time, chasing down spreadsheets and departments to get data where everyone has a login that needs to be involved. They can load systems, link to policies, very, very simple, and our customers rave about it. Finally, it's all about reporting. You're only really as good as what you can report. So just like a chief sales officer goes into a board meeting with Salesforce and shows all the charts and graphs and dials about pipeline and sales forecasting, that's been missing from cybersecurity. We bring that right now with really intelligent reporting. We have customers using it for customer requests, board meetings, insurance renewals, audits, all types of different ways, all in one click. When someone says, "Show me your program." I've done a lot of talking. I'll let one of our customers speak, and then we'll talk more about customers. So Jackson's not alone. These are our customers. On one side, you see who our paying customers are today, and this is, again, being in the market only about 4 months. This represents approximately $162,000 in ARR. Our customers pay an annual subscription based on the size of the organization, meaning the number of employees they have. To get in the door, you have 150 employees or less, it's $8,000 a year. You have 500 to 1,000, it's about $15,000 a year, and up and up. Beezer Homes, $35,000 a year, all up front. We just got paid 2 weeks ago. Cardinal Financial, $8,000. So some of these are early adopters, right? So we're going to get some early adopters earlier on. But where it gets really, really compelling is you look at Q2, the average deal size on all these Q2 deals are $22,000. So right now we're in procurement with PGI. We just got their contract today. It's 27 pages. We're going through it. That's about a $38,000 subscription to PGI. ACS, $25,000. Cousins, $18,000. Pillsbury is $25,000. $35. Here's Medicus is a big reseller of IT services. We are in procurement with about half of these. That's why we have confidence we add it all up in Q2. We're adding another 100,000 in ARR. So we'll end Q2 on a run rate of about 260,000 in ARR, and that's with 2 salespeople, and you're seeing both of them right here. So that's what raising capital is, to scale our sales and marketing. And the other thing about this slide, which you hopefully see, is it's very, very diverse. You've got companies that need compliance. You've got companies that are in healthcare. You have companies that are in construction. You have resellers that are Dynasys and Leapfrog who are paying us to be a reseller. I'll talk about that in a minute. CAT, they're going to come on board probably next week. The largest CAT reseller in the Southeast, tractors. Who would think? But that just shows you the depth and breadth of our product, and also the appeal of a very, very large market. So this is not just a niche product in one market. It's a very, very large market. Let's talk about that. When we looked at the mid-market, upper mid-market, companies with 200 to 2,000 employees, it's about $6.3 billion. And we're going to sell this market in a very capital-efficient manner. Gab and I both built very successful inside sales organizations. You measure how many calls you make, how many emails you make, how many converted into sales opportunities, how many of those converted into deals closed over some period of time, what's your CAC, what's your ACV, all those metrics. We've run those businesses before off those sales metrics. We're following that same playbook, all inside sales. It means very, very capital efficient. So we're going after regulated, and we're going after unregulated, and we're going to sell this as fast and quick as we can, and we just need more people to do it. So this is our direct sales. So there's 2 ways we sell. One, direct to the enterprise, and we're selling to CIOs and CISOs and maybe some compliance professionals. The second way we sell, which is also very exciting, is channels. You guys all know what an MSP is, a managed service provider. Well, there are 10,000 of them. And let me tell you something that's happening in this industry, which is really interesting. If you believe that companies are moving from on-prem to the cloud, guess what's happening? They're relying on cloud providers, MSPs, to manage more of that stack. Well, security is now in that stack. That means these MSPs are now challenged to build security offerings for their customers. You talk to Darius, the CEO of Leapfrog, it's no longer just sell them a firewall and that's it. He goes, I'm being asked to build their entire compliance program out. They're asking me to get HIPAA compliant, PCI compliant, pass that audit. He goes, I have no idea to do that until he saw Apptega. He's paying us $6,000 a year just to resell the product. And he can private label it. He has a management console to spin up his own customers on the Apptega platform. It's awesome. He's got 200 customers, and we think that we're going to get exposure to at least half of those over the next 6 to 12 months. So we went out to 8 of the largest MSPs in Atlanta, and 6 signed up, and all 6 of those are paying us $6,000 a year just to be in the game. And then we get a piece of every customer they sign up. We get a monthly annuity, a monthly recurring revenue for every customer. You just do the math. There's 10,000 total. Let's just say maybe there's 5,000 kind of in our wheelhouse, that big enough to kind of matter. It doesn't take long to do the math that if we're generating what we think we will, 30 to 50,000 a year in ARR over time, so after 12 months, takes a little while to get it going, but after 12 months, if we can get that type of number, you're getting to $10 million pretty quickly. So we're gonna leverage that partner network really hard. The largest MSP conference is in November. It's called IT Nation. There's gonna be 3,000 MSPs there, and we're gonna exhibit there for the first time, do a big launch, and try to get some good customer acquisition. Makes sense so far? Everybody's good? I'm getting the financials and all that stuff, kind of how we all work. One quote from Dynasys, let you read that real fast.
We're going to time.
15 minutes.
Got it.
Including Q&A.
All right, so this is pretty much the last slide. Capital raise and financials. So right now, we've moved our deal size to 22,000. I talked about ARR at the end of Q2. We have great gross margins. We're at 90%. We anticipate 90% gross, 90% plus throughout the rest of the year and into 2019. We have our eye on cash flow break even and EBITDA positive because we have a low burn rate due to a great product. We haven't had to raise any money to build the product. That's why we are where we are. And we're selling pretty well into the market. So we think we'll do 500,000 this year in ARR, 1.3, and then 3 to 4, 2 to 4 sometime in 20. Hard to forecast 3 years out, but we think that's a pretty good growth rate, and we've spent a lot of time modeling that. We're raising a round of 600,000 now. We just increased it solely on expanding sales and marketing in our key markets, hiring a couple salespeople, hiring a full-time technology person, just growing the business in a really smart, capital-efficient way. And that'll give us really good runway. If you're looking for a business that's going to raise $5 million in VC next year and dilute you, this is not the company for you. We are going to be very capital efficient. And that's why we're not raising a ton of money right now, and we don't envision raising a ton of money unless it's just really crazy and it's just going to quadruple or 10x our multiple. But right now, we're being very smart because that's the critical time of the companies right now. That is it. I'll just leave it open for questions. Thank you for listening.
Just some comments, because I had seen this presentation 2 weeks ago. So unfortunately, I act as like the CIO for Equifax and TransUnion Data, and as a owner of a consumer lender dealing with this, I have the legion of spreadsheets, and I deal with it. I hate it. It's the one thing I try to not deal with. So I mean, this is a product that multiple of my portfolio companies would use just from a personal standpoint. I don't know if anybody deals with like credit data and stuff like that, which is how I use it. And I've worked in the EMR space and built a couple of EMR products as well. And the compliance process is just a horrible nightmare from experience, but just from a personal perspective.
Well, he'll send you a service order, work order after this meeting. So
yeah, we need to go through that. Or somebody else will go through it, not me.
So is this intended to be a one-stop shop for cybersecurity for a business, or is it meant to supplement other security measures and add more efficiency to their compliance process and give them certain warning signals?
It's a really good question. So we have a big vision for this business. The first start is organize what you're doing today, get rid of Excel spreadsheets, automate it, make it more intelligent. That's step one. Step two is how do we own that end-to-end cybersecurity experience for the customer? And one thing we're going to do in phase 2, which is next year, is we're going to actually, I talk about these integrations, we're actually going to build in what we're calling a vendor assembler integration. This is pretty revolutionary, but go with me just for a minute. A lot of companies are using, let's say, AWS or Azure or Rackspace, something like that. Well, what's interesting is that none of those companies have actually connected their environments to, let's say, PCI or HIPAA compliance. What we're going to do is we're going to build in the product, something called vendor assembler, which means you're going to go in, you're going to say, are you using AWS S3? Yes, I am. I'm certified that I'm using them. It's going to automatically move all the compliance needles for the controls that impacts. So you may already be 30% HIPAA compliant because you use AWS and not even know it. So we're going to connect all that data that those vendors have into our system, so you can now actually build your security program by bringing, dropping and dragging different vendors into your portfolio. So just like Salesforce has an App Exchange, which is a marketplace, we're going to be building a marketplace into Apptega. So if you need to do password management, you have no idea really how to do it, there'll be 4 or 5 vetted vendors that'll be integrated in. You can select a vendor, just like App Exchange, the APIs connect, and then I can actually start using that product. Apptega itself as a business, we are never going to be a firewall company. We're never going to do a pen test. just like Salesforce is never going to actually call a customer, or bring you a lead, you're going to have partners and tools that connect in, and that's where you move from being a tool company to a platform, and that's our goal, is to be a platform. Once we get through that great growth strategy, the cool thing too is we're going to have a lot of data that we can scrub about market trends. So if you're a law firm, what are law firms doing in security? And so what's your baseline? You'll be able to compare your baseline to other law firms when you log in the system. So there's a really cool data piece of this that we're going to also be managing. That's kind of our strategy.
User CISO connected with.
Yeah, so we started the marketplace kind of ad hoc, like everything with a business. You kind of solve a problem sort of manually at first, and you say, well, how can software fix that and make it more streamlined? So we've had a couple customers, Beezer, didn't have a CISO. And so Larry Fry, who's the CIO, just said, hey, I need someone to come just kind of help me do this. And so we started our marketplace. It started with actual consultants. These are people that are PCI, HIPAA, experts. So we're going to start building them into the system that says, here's Bob. Bob's a PCI consultant. This is kind of average hourly rate. Click here to connect with Bob, and he'll kind of help you answer questions about PCI. So there will be. So when we think of these vendors, it's not just a tool. It's also going to could be people, and kind of owning that ecosystem through that.
Have you been able to attract any cybersecurity capital from some of the investors in town who focus on this niche?
We haven't even had time to go to them. I mean, I know Tom Noonan. I've been to his house, and Glenn McGonigal, and just.
This has been like 3 weeks.
This has been so fast. It's just like having.
And my group's putting 250 in, so I got as much as I could of it, and I did the dude. I've known Armstead for 21 years, and I started talking about this in September. And as part of my due diligence, I went and talked to these MSPs. I figure if anyone knows about the marketplace, these MSPs are going to know if there's competition. Is this really solving a problem? And to a T, the due diligence and the interviews were like, we're choking on this. We need a solution, and we're bundling this in our cybersecurity offering. And they get calls on these audits, vendor audits, and one of the companies said, if any of our clients opt out of Apptega and they get audited and need us to do the audit, we're going to charge them double our hourly rate on the vendor audits, because Apptega would solve a lot of this for them.
Tyler over at SecureWorks, Winkler, thank you. He ran sales for SecureWorks from startup all the way through exit and all the recaps, and he's been an advisor. So he and I meet every month or two, and he's been giving me phenomenal advisory and feedback. So I've got a lot of security people that are involved, certified CISOs. The CISO Pindrop, Steve Dotson, is on our advisory board. Phenomenal guy. He loves our product. He's given us lots of feedback. So we're actually kind of engaging more with the CISO buyers and users right now than we are the investors. I'd rather sort of take their money than investors, but it's the best kind. It grows the value. But we're always on the lookout. So if you know anybody, we're always building our network of potential partners.
So does your product actually do any auditing or or you just rely on somebody to tell you that we are using AWS and therefore compliant?
So right now, the way an audit works is you have a consultant, usually an expensive one, comes into your conference room, and they ask for a lot of materials. Show me this policy, show me that HR document. And the auditor will work with the company and say, are you green, are you yellow, are you red? And they'll literally give you a spreadsheet. I'm green, I'm yellow, red. And it's a very much of an interpretation, right? And so what our product does today is, I didn't show you, but there's some scoring where we have these slider bars where either the company can self-audit and say, I think we're at 80%. And what happens is our customers, and it's a good question, they've been giving a login to their auditors to go into Apptega instead of coming on site for 5 days. They're giving a login to the auditor. The auditor's going in, seeing all the policies, all the linkage, all the history, all the scoring. The auditor then, when they move the slider, it timestamps and dates with their name on who moved it. So the CIO might have said, hey, I'm at 100% on password management. The auditor might come in and say, I think you're more at 75%, and they'll put a note in the system, change this and I'll move you to 100. But all that's time-stamped and tracked as an audit trail in the system. So we think we're going to, over time, replace that audit process that's very manual to give access to that auditor through the system. But what you're talking about automation is some of those integrations is that And for
If
example,
somebody says I'm doing password management, do you actually go and check does your product actually see if you're actually doing
So-
password management or not? That's the question.
It's a very dicey question, but a very good one, right? Because I don't want to be the company that's at fault if you're not doing great password management. But if there's a password management company that has an API of data, a feed, that it can build some rules with our system where the needle can move based on what that system is doing, then we can just take that data out of that password management system and say, yes, this is an active password management system, you're at 100. And we can reflect that data like a speedometer, right? You hope your speedometer is accurate. You hope you're going 60, but that's what ours will be, the speedometer, that dashboard that shows you how fast you're going. But that's part of our growth initiative in 19.
I mean, again, independently, I'm not an investor in the company, although I want to be. So in the hedge fund industry, which I was originally in, then the lending industry, I thought initially, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It is a horrible nightmare. We end up, for Equifax's audit to get approval, it took 6 months of building the documentation. I didn't realize how much documentation that you possibly can need to actually do it. Then you have to manage training classes, and this would manage like that everybody's been checked off and that everybody's been trained on it. And if there's any new changes, new employees coming in, their background checks. I'm just telling you that just from personal experience, it is a horrible nightmare. Each time, every single customer we've brought onto the product has had to, not this product, in our company, has had to go ask those sets of questions again and again and again. And if there's any subtlety in the change, we have to create all new documentation and policies. So it's that process, and we're a small company. We're dealing with only about 150 customers that are lenders in the lending industry and stuff like that. And each one of those is almost a week with 4 to 5 people involved with the process to go through the compliance audit. So it doesn't actually, this wouldn't manage that, but it manages our nightmare of all these people having to be involved on the IT side, business side, operational side, and the HR side to pulling everything together for compliance checks. But
I mean, I think the scalability of the integrations, right, just in terms of the permutations of how many could be out there. And so to that end,
Yeah.
so that's obviously why you're approaching the vendor assembler
Yeah.
problem the way that you are. But is there a way for customers to actually, let's say, configure their own
Yes.
integration without your involvement? Okay.
You want to see how many vendors there are in cybersecurity?
Yeah.
That's just a short
Yeah,
list.
completely.
And we're going to go after best of breed first. You know, those that are really, because here's the great thing too is when our customers go into each of these subcontrols and controls and put their vendors they're using, we're going to get that data to use our list about who we're going to talk to. Right, so we have 10 law firms as customers, and they're all using SecureWorks. I'm calling Mike Cody. I'm saying, hey, we got to do something here to integrate. But yeah, we're going to go through this, and it's a great question because yeah, we want them the freedom to write their own APIs to their own solutions and integrate those in, just like Salesforce, right? You can build into the platform.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this, do you know why there's so many here? I figured it out. Venture capitalists invested $6.7 billion last year just in cybersecurity startups. The year before, it was $3.2 billion. They literally doubled the amount of investments in cybersecurity last year. So you have to wonder how many are going to survive, right? But this is what the CIOs are dealing with. They're getting calls from these people every day. And so we help organize that chaos. We have a great blog on this on our website about vendor saturation.
Just curiosity question, what kind of pushback have you gotten as far as them putting this data on the cloud?
Very little pushback. It's just where the world's moving, and they're putting other sensitive data in the cloud. They're putting their own employee information, financial information, legal information. So why not security? We know we have, the cobbler's kids have to have shoes, right? So we have to have good security. So we're working on our SOC 2. Part of our use of funds is to complete our SOC 2 audit, which is a very standard, great security program. One of our hires, a solutions architect that we're hiring, one of their requirements is they're going to manage our security program for ourselves.
So I don't think that's the direct question.
Oh.
There's actually nothing really there's no proprietary confidential information in the processes.
Yeah.
The key is having all the processes in place and then proving your company is implementing and following it. It's not really, you're not putting social security numbers and stuff.
No.
This is not like it's not like a credit card company storage of all the customers'
storing all that
data.
stuff.
This is the processes,
Right.
policies, and audits.
Well, the reason I was asking you, the competitor that you held up was not a cloud-based solution.
Right.
So which made me wonder, why have they not?
They're Fortune 200, where that market wants it on-prem.
And their legacy product.
Their legacy
giant.
product.
It's almost a 20-year-old product.
Talk to anybody that uses it, they hate it.
No, but why would they not add a cloud-based solution if that's sort of the space they're in?
That's why, if we are successful in leading the business, they could be a potential acquirer of this business. They'll probably need to acquire their way to that, because there's companies that are so stuck in that Fortune 200 space. It's so hard for them to go down market, because you're changing products, sales, marketing, right, and pricing. It's so complicated. So what big enterprises do, I mean, if we do our jobs properly, then part of a return to our shareholders is finding those businesses we think we could then help go down market with a cloud product.
Does anybody on the phone have any quick questions? Suppan, you had one last question there.
I have one. I mean, what kind of liability is Apptega exposed to? Let's say somebody gets audited or gets in trouble and has a hack. They go, well, look, you guys said we had 100. Obviously, we didn't catch the loophole.
Yeah, so we have, it's a very good question. We have mutual identification language in our terms of use that people click on, and we say in there that this is meant to be a guide, that we are not an auditing company, that we recommend they do rely on an auditor. And so the good news is that for someone to be PCI compliant, they can't use this to be PCI compliant, have to have an auditor come in and review that. So we're shifting really all that risk over to the auditing, and that's why we're talking to like Protiviti and North Highland and Slalom, who have auditing teams, to partner with them where they're going to use our product to help them make their job easier, so they can still keep that business intact.
I want to mention security validation. I think it's a great example.
Yeah, it's the time we have left. So we got a call. A guy found us on Google, and we do no SEM or SEO, but he found us on Google, and he said that he's the #1 PCI auditing and security company for the hotel industry. He has over 2,000 hotels, everything from like the Nobles of the world to Bob's Ramada down the street, and he has 2,000. And he saw our product, and he said, I can private label this, I can create my multi-tenant, I can spin up all these different hotels in their own Apptega environment, and I'm going to be able to double he thinks he can double his business because of this product. And then we give some margin to him as a partner, so he's actually getting ARR, when most of his business was consulting. So he was just down in Barbados this past week at a huge hotel conference, came back and said it went great. He's got lots of business for us. So that's an example of just a niche, but it's PCI for hotels. We got a guy that we think has got a great opportunity. We think it'll be a $200,000 market for us maybe next year. But
Cool. All right, guys.
Thanks for your time.